Hi, with just a few weeks left for CAT 2022, now is the time to go ahead and solidify your personal exam taking strategy. With that in mind, BYJU'S Exam Prep brings to you the All India Open Mock CAT. Know exactly where you stand against thousands of CATers and get video solutions and a live mock attempt. What more? There are also thousands of scholarships up for grabs.
Good noon, all of you. I hope I'm clearly visible and audible to you. So I welcome you all to this session. Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. All right, so there's a poll in your chat that asks you what newspaper, which newspaper are you reading out of these three? All right. Good noon, Varun. Good to see you too. Okay, audible. Great. So we've started this series. Why? Because IIM Bangalore is setting the paper this year. Yes. And it set the paper in 2007 and 2016 as well. So we are going to look at some questions from these years just to see the kind of questions that are asked, their difficulty level, and what we can learn from them for our CAT 2022, right? So this is the perspective, this is the aim, and let's begin. Hi Mohit, good noon. Okay, good noon. Kavya, Tamanna, hi. Times of India, I would say avoid Times of India. Why? Because sometimes I've spotted some grammatical errors in it. So I don't want you to read something that has grammatical errors, right? So you can avoid that. Good afternoon, Sankirtana. All right. So let's begin. And you know this. You've just seen a video that you have to take the All India Open Mock CAT 2022. Now, this Open Mock provides you a lot of things, and moreover, see, it will help you to identify your test strategy. In case you have a difficulty in sticking to a schedule, that is that you register for the tests but you do not take them, then my advice is that think of it as an appointment that you have with someone. Whenever you've decided to take the exam, let's say it's tomorrow, you've decided to take the test tomorrow, right? So think of it like an appointment that you have with someone, right? So that you can set a Google reminder so that you don't avoid that, okay? So that you're more serious about it, right? That works for me. I hope it works for you. All right, so the agenda for the session, I hope this is clear to you. We'll attempt some grammar questions, some vocabulary questions from CAT 2007. We'll see their difficulty level, of course, right? And we'll try to see what we can learn from them and how that can help us in our various non-CAT tests, right? Because all your non-CAT tests, they do ask you grammar questions, they do ask you vocabulary questions. Also, I think just knowing the difficulty level will help you to understand that what expectations you can have from this year's paper, right? So remember, this is just CAT 2007. In the coming sessions, we'll also look at CAT 2007 plus 2016, right? 2016 paper will also come in. Just that in 2016, there were no grammar and vocabulary questions. That's why I haven't brought any here today. Okay? All right, let's begin. All pumped up, I hope. Okay, so I'll show you some grammar questions first, right? That's because grammar questions were mostly of the type where you had to spot which part of a particular paragraph that was given to you, which part of it was correct, right? Then the vocabulary questions were a little lengthier. So they were common confusables questions. So we'll see that also, right? So just give me a second. Just going to that screen, but before that, let me just adjust my frame a little. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do. Okay, all right. Yes. So now let's come to our first question for the day. Yes, so these are the instructions. They are common for the three questions that are going to come on your screens next. In each question, there are 5 sentences or parts of sentences that form a paragraph, right? 5 sentences or parts of sentences that form a paragraph. Identify the sentence or sentences or parts of sentences that is or are correct in terms of grammar and usage. So you have to identify that which is correct in terms of grammar and usage. Then choose the most appropriate option. All right. So this is what we have to do. Let's begin. our first question. So this is the paragraph here. It consists of, you can see, 3 sentences, right? These have been divided into parts. You have to tell me which parts are correct out of these 5 options. Now CAT 2007 had 5 options, okay, instead of 4 as CAT usually gives now. Hi Stroke. Let's see what you say. Focus on accuracy. Focus on finding flaws. Okay. So Varun says option E. Others. Okay, D Delhi. All right. So D, E. What do the others say? Zen says D. Stroke, what do you say? Tamanna, Kavya, Sankirtana. I need 3 more responses before I proceed. E or D? All right. So, what was I looking for? Let me tell you that. Which answer was I looking for? Which is the correct part here? E is correct. I hope. See, when we attempt these questions, what should our approach be? We should first look at those parts, in the sense when you first have to read the paragraph carefully. So read the entire paragraph, read all the fragments carefully. Then there will be some fragments in which you will feel, yes, there is definitely an error here. Definite error. Okay, so eliminate those right away. So can you tell me, out of these fragments, which fragment has a very short glaring error? Yes. Which option has a very obvious sort of an error such that it can be eliminated? Short stroke, I will. So, see this. When I read this fragment D, it did not make sense to me. That same year, Israel's Jewish agency sent a shaliach. I hope this is how it is pronounced. A shaliach. A sort of recruiter. Don't you think there should be a pause here? A shaliach, a sort of recruiter to Minneapolis. So I felt that there should have been some commas here. Okay, because without it, it appears to make no sense. Shaliash is sort of recruiter to Minneapolis, right? So we are describing the Shaliash here, right? And when we describe it, when we give an additional description, that should be placed within these commas that are known as parenthetical commas. What are parenthetical commas? These parentheses are like brackets, right? Parentheses are brackets. So they serve just as brackets. They are used for additional descriptions. So this is an additional description here, and therefore it needs to come within these commas. Once I realized this, I eliminated E right away. Okay, D is erroneous. Therefore option E cannot be the answer. Okay. Then I also very strongly felt this, that E is correct. No error in E. Okay, so I felt that E should also figure in whatever answer I mark. So I eliminated B on that basis. Okay. Also, whenever I have read this phrase, to get someone's hands on, to get my hands on something, we always say this, to get my hands on something. So whenever I have read this phrase, I have read it like this. I've never read it like this, get my hand on. So I realized that, okay, B is also erroneous. So I eliminated option D. So either it's C and E or it's E only. Now, the answer is E only. Why? Because when I say that same year, shouldn't there be a comma here also? Because that same year is not describing Israel, right? So that same year, something happened. Okay, for instance, if you say in 2000, he was elected. If you say this, in 2000, he was elected. So after in 2000, you will put a comma, right? Because something happened in 2000 and now you're describing the entire thing. Similarly, that same year, something happened and now you're telling me the entire thing. So that's why there should be a comma here as well. And even this goes out of the window. E only is the answer. So option C. Option C is the correct answer here. Okay. So this was a tricky question, right? Because it involved your understanding of punctuation also, which is rare in your grammar questions. Mostly your grammar questions test you on other concepts such as subject-verb agreement, noun-pronoun relationship, okay, then parallelism, such errors. They are tested. Whereas here we were testing your knowledge of punctuations as well, which is very rare for grammar questions. Unless they specify this, unless the instructions specify this, that we are going to test you on punctuation. Right? So that's why this question was a tricky one, and E only is the answer here. We've learned a number of... Achha, why is A erroneous? Yes. Why is A erroneous? Although it wasn't given in any of the options. When I returned, is this to required? Is this to required when I returned to home? This to is not required. Okay, this is redundant. Right? But you must be thinking, how can I say when I returned home? Isn't home a noun? Right? We say, I am at home. So I am at what? At a particular place, and then I'm naming that place. So it's a noun. It's the name of a thing. But have you not seen people saying, oh, he went home? He went home. They never say he went to his home. He went home. In this sense, if you want to understand the grammar of it, it is not being used as a noun here. Home is not being used as a noun here. Home can also be used as an adverb. He went where? He went where? He went home. Okay, so if you ask the question what here, he went what, you will not get an answer. But if you ask he went where, you will get an answer. It's an adverb of place, right? So home can serve as an adverb also. So such a minute thing here, but fortunately none of our options actually had A, so that did not pose a challenge for us, right? This is get my hands on. So you got something about vocabulary also here. This is an expression, a fixed expression, okay, a fixed idiom or phrase, you can call it. Okay, then we learned something about punctuation, right? Particularly parenthetical commas. Okay, and we also learned that E is correct. No error in E. All right. Hope this is clear that even though there is one, we'll use devotees only, plural, not singular. Because one of the many devotees, one of them. So devotees will be plural only here. Right. So there are so many concepts in just this one grammar question, right? And you can be asked such grammar questions in your NMAT exam, in your SNAP exam, right? Where multiple sentences or parts of sentences will have multiple concepts involved. And your examination never tells you that you have to look for this kind of an error. You have to figure out what kind of an error exists in a particular part, right? Okay then. Now, Stroke had a question that whenever he comes across difficult vocabulary while reading, that breaks his flow. So, I understand that when we come across some unfamiliar word, our mind has to work extra hard to decipher it, right? But what we should do is that we should look at the surrounding words, the context as we call it, and see whatever we are able to understand from the word, from this context. Okay, so if let's say for instance, I'm just giving a very basic example. If my sentence talks about a ledge, that she was standing on a ledge. Let's say you do not know what a ledge is, right? And she stared into the depths below. This is the next sentence. So now you realize that it is fine. I don't know the exact meaning of ledge, but it is definitely something of that has some height to it because she's staring at the depths below, right? So just this much knowledge sometimes can suffice. It can help you navigate the passage. It can help you navigate the article. So we need not know the meaning of each and every word while reading. We can just form an idea of it, and unless it's absolutely essential for my further comprehension, we should not care about its exact meaning. We should just keep reading. Later on, once you've closed that chapter, once you've finished that chapter, once you've stopped reading, then if you're curious, you can actually look up its exact meaning, right? What is its exact meaning? That will help you now for your further reading. Okay, so this is how we should proceed. Why is B wrong? Because the expression, the phrase is to get your hands on something, plural, not hand, but hands, plural. Okay, that's why, invincible. So hope this is clear and we can proceed to our next question. Now again, same instructions. You have to find out the correct one, the correct fragments of sentences. Gaurav, the solution is practice. Okay, and of course an understanding of what constitutes an error. So basically you should be very aware of parts of speech errors, subject verb agreement errors. These are some of the most common errors that you will come across. Okay, subject verb agreement errors. In parts of speech also noun pronoun errors are very common. Okay, then you should know preposition usage very well because certain exams, certain non-CAT exams lay specific focus on prepositions. And at an advanced level, you can get parallelism modifier errors also. Parallelism and modifiers. So these are some things that you should know first, that okay, what are the errors, what constitutes an error in these areas, and then practice as many questions implementing these concepts. That is how you improve. Okay. All right. So Varun, the speaking tree can be helpful for, let's say, yes, if you get a spiritual or philosophical RC, yes, it can help you there. However, I would suggest that you do read the editorials of the invitee and the guardian. Okay, do read their editorials as well. You get 2 free articles per month. So whatever you get free, just read it. Okay, don't keep reading just the Hindu or the Indian Express. But yes, reading editorials definitely helps. Okay, so let's see what is the answer. Varun has already answered. Let's see what the others say. E only is correct. So option D. All right. Mohit also says E only. Okay. What do the others say? Let's see. Let's see. We do not have to hurry in these questions. When you have to spot errors, spotting errors requires careful reading. Okay, so I have got D also, which is, D only I've got so far. Okay, option B, Sankirtana says B. B, C and E are correct. Okay. All right. Let's have a look. Let's read it very carefully. Now, as you saw in the last question, see, for instance, get my hands on. This is a grammar error also, but in another sense, it's a vocabulary error because it's a fixed expression and that's how it has to be used, to get my hands on something, right? Now, let's see if that is the case here as well for some fragment. First of all, so once an economy. Now this so, what is this so? It's a connector. It's a connector that is used to indicate that, okay, this is a consequence of something, or basically when we want to relate, give a this, result of something. So we say, so this happened. Because this was the case, so this happened. So it shows a consequence, it shows a result, it shows an effect. And when we put it in the beginning of a sentence, when we put it in the beginning of a sentence, for instance, when we put however in the beginning of a sentence, to give you an analogy, we put a comma after it, right? And then we continue our sentence. Similarly, when we say as a result, when we say as a result, we put a comma and then we add something, isn't it? So similarly, when you put so in the beginning of a sentence, you have to put a comma afterwards. Okay. So, comma, once an economy is actually in recession, this part is fine. Once an economy is actually in recession, no error there, but there is a comma error here. So see, again, punctuation comes. So again, this is a tricky question, not an easy question. The authorities can, in principle, move the economy. So the authorities can, see, now I have put parenthetical commas here because I'm saying in theory, in principle means in theory, they can do this. They can move the economy. So because I'm adding these two words in the middle of my original thought, which is the authorities can move the economy, when you add something in between like this, you have to place it in parenthetical commas. So this is correct. B is correct. My answer is either option B or option E. Okay, either option B or option E. Okay, so let's see. Uh, Move the economy out of slump. What is slump? It's a recession only, no? So out of a slum. It should be out of a slum. Sorry, I should write here, no? Otherwise, it will get hidden. So they can move the economy out of a slump. This article a is required here. Okay. Also, see recession, why we didn't put any article here in a recession? Because recession is, we're calling it a process of sorts. Once the economy is actually in this phase, right? In this sort of a phenomenon. Okay. Whereas when I say slump, I look at it as one event. And because it is one event, I have to place a before it. So such subtle difference. So once an economy is actually in this phase, the authorities can in principle move the economy out of such an event, out of such a thing. So out of a slump. Also another error, assuming hypothetically. See, when we assume something, that's hypothetical only. No, we imagine it in a way. If I ask you to assume something, it's not something that may have actually happened, right? You are assuming it. So this here also there is a redundancy, assuming hypothetically, right? So C is also erroneous. That means our answer is option E. B only. B only. Yes. Okay. So option E is the answer. Now let's have a look at the others, why they are incorrect. Yes. Because when we read them quickly, it seems that everything is fine with them. So out of a slum, assuming hypothetically that they know how to. Now why have I put this in between dashes? Yes. Let me just erase everything. Here, out of slump, dash, assuming hypothetically that they know how to dash. This dash structure, these dashes are longer than hyphens. They are not hyphens. These are called M dashes. It's called an M dash, EM dash. It serves the same function as your parenthetical comma. Serves the same function as your parenthetical comma. Additional information is enclosed. Additional information is enclosed in between them. Right? So serves the same function, just that it is relatively more informal. It is relatively more informal and it highlights the information in between better. It highlights the information in between more. That's the difference between parenthetical commas and M dash. So here out of slump, now in between I've added a thought, assuming hypothetically that they know how to, by a temporary, it says so can I say stimuli? Stimuli, is it singular or is it plural? Invincible, ideally we should not say assuming hypothetically, because when you assume, you are in a way imagining something, isn't it? So I ask you to assume this. Assume that the value of x is 5. Then the value of x may not actually be 5. No, you are assuming it. So assuming hypothetically is not really required. Okay. So Coming to yes. My question was that stimulus is the singular. Yes, stimuli is the plural and stimulus is the singular. Stimulus is singular and stimuli is plural. Just like, now this is also a very common mistake that I've come across. Aluminous is singular and alumni is plural. So a lot of students say, I am an alumni of SRCC, let's say. So I am an. When you are one, you can't be an alumni. You are an alumnus, right? You're an alumnus. So alumnus, alumni, stimulus, stimuli, focus, foci, right? Focus, foci. So, okay. So remember this. So here, this is wrong. It should be stimulus because it is a. Okay. Also, you're using stimulus as an instrument, as a sort of a weapon, right? In a way. So by is an incorrect preposition here. It should be with. Okay, with a temporary stimulus, not by a temporary stimulus. Basically, who is the agent? Who is actually pulling the economy out of a slump? The authorities. So it is being done by the authorities, not by the stimulus. Agent कौन है? Who is the doer? The authorities. So it is being done by the authorities and not by the stimulus. The authorities are doing it with the stimulus. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Yes, fungus and fungi as well. Absolutely correct. Right. So, so far what we have seen is after so we need a comma. So punctuation. Out of a slump. Right. So article error. Assuming hypothetically can actually be skipped here. That they know how to with preposition error, singular plural error. So see noun error, preposition error, article error, punctuation error, all in one question. Right? So we've eliminated a lot of options using this. Now, why is E incorrect? Who will tell me? Yes. Why is E incorrect? A virtual toffee to the student who tells me that. There's something major that you're missing in E. Absolutely correct, Mohit. Affect is incorrect. Affect is used as a verb. I need a noun here. Have no effect. Have no effect. Okay, so I need a noun. E. Effect चाहिए मुझे. Affect नहीं चाहिए. So that was the error here, right? So if I say the stimulus, okay, this policy affects the economy. Okay, sorry, I should have written it here. Then that would have been correct. If I said this policy affects the economy or this policy does not affect the economy. So now I'm using it as a verb, isn't it? Then affects would be fine. But this policy has no effect or has an effect. For that we use effect, the noun. Okay, hope this is clear. And one more tiny thing, see in my opinion, this longer, why this comparative degree? Because earlier we were talking about something temporary, right? It was something temporary. So this could simply have been in the long term. This is just my opinion. The major error was this only in E, right? So going by this, we are left with only B, which is fine. All the others have an error. So option E is the answer. So again, this was a quite, I would say that it required a lot of attention on your part and could have been a lengthy question in the exam. So tricky. Okay. Hope this is exposing you to some new concepts. Coming to question 3. Yes. Let's see who does this. Some very glaring errors here. Good, Master Tanmit. I also agree. It should be in the long term, because we were talking about something temporary earlier. So that was a short term measure. Question 3. Let's see what you say. So the link to attempt the All India Open Mock is there in your chat box. Varun says C. Others? D. B and D. Okay, so option C. All right. So C, D, E. I have got all these. C, D, and E. Hi, Videep. What else? So CAT 2007 VARC was not easy. It was a relatively difficult paper. And if you look at the RC passages also, we'll be attempting some of these RC passages also. So they were also tricky, right? DE, okay. So option E, all right, all right. Okay, let's have a look. It is sometimes told. See, to tell someone, tell always requires an object after it. You tell someone something, right? So I told him, I told my mom something. I told something, then also you have to say to whom. The verb requires an object after it. It requires an object after it. Okay. So this is incorrect. It is sometimes said. It is sometimes said. Said does not require an object after it. Okay. So basically, it does not require naming a person after it. It simply requires what was said, right? So it is sometimes said, what is said? That democratic government originated in the city-states of ancient Greece. B looks fine to me. Okay. No error in B as such, but then that does not help us a lot, right? Because there now option A is eliminated somehow. Okay, because B seems fine. It is sometimes said that democratic government originated in the city-states. Okay, probably because of the city-states you've rejected this. See, city-states is a legit term. It's a correct term. Here we have hyphenated them. Why we are calling them city-states? See, these are part of ancient Greece. So ancient Greece was a bigger region. Okay, that was further divided into various sub-states in a way, although it was divided into states, you could say. It was divided into states. Now, these can be referred to as city-states. Okay. I don't know how to explain this as such, but city-states, because state is something that's a unit of government. It's a unit of government. City is a region. So basically what I'm trying to say is that each city was a different unit of government here. So city-states is not incorrect. Okay. So B is correct. Now, democratic ideals have been handed to us from that time. To hand something to someone is to literally directly give it to someone. So for instance, you could hand a pen to your sibling, right? So you are actually directly giving it to your sibling. You could hand a pen to your friend. So hand is simply to hand something to someone is to directly give it. But they have been, passed on to us from that time. They've been passed on to us, right? They've been, it's a sort of a legacy. So our ancestors can't come and directly give it to us, right? So the phrase for passing something down, passing something as a legacy, is to hand down something. Hand down when you give something as a legacy. Okay. Over a period of time when something is given. So they handed it down to us. Now see, vocabulary comes into the picture. Phrasal verbs come into the picture. Yes. We did phrasal verbs yesterday only, some phrasal verbs. In case you didn't watch that session, you can go and watch it. Okay. D says, in truth, however, this is an unhelpful assertion. This seems fine to me. In truth, see there are parenthetical commas also when I've put however in between. This is an unhelpful assertion. So D is fine for me. So even this goes out of the window, and even this goes out of the window because I have spotted an error. A was incorrect, goes away. So our answer is option C, B and D. Okay. So good. Those who said C, I think Varun said C. Then Mohit and Invincible later on said C. Absolutely correct. So we learned that after tell, I need the name of someone. I need a pronoun because we always tell something to someone or we tell someone something, right? So that was missing here. So tell cannot come. It is sometimes said. This was what was required. Then city states is a correct term. We learned that. Handed down to us versus handed to us, the difference between the two expressions. And E is erroneous, although this was not there in any options because of this. The Greeks gave us the word, but I need a contradiction here. Did not provide us with a model. Okay, they gave us the word, but did not provide us with a model. Democracy word to diya unhone, but they didn't provide us with a democratic model. So hope this is clear. Anything that's not clear, any concept, ask me. These are relatively heavier questions, right? Now the instructions change. So we have to do something different. Our coming 3 questions, they'll be more focused on vocabulary, okay, and slightly focused on grammar. This was more focused on grammar and slightly focused on vocabulary, right? So from the italicized and highlighted words or phrases, select the most appropriate word or phrase to form correct sentences. Okay. Then from the options given, choose the best one. So what do you have to do? So I haven't italicized them for you. I'm underlining them for you, right? So we have some words that can be confused with each other, right? You have to decide, okay, in the first sentence, what should I use, further or farther? If I should use further, then A should be the first, A should be the answer, and then in that case, B or E can be the answers. If B should be used, which is farther, then in that case, you eliminate B and E right away, and A, C or D are the candidates. This is how you have to attempt it. Now a trick is, in case let's say you do not know the difference between further and farther, first go for that sentence about which you're absolutely sure that okay, here it should be, let's say, historical and not historic. If you're absolutely sure about it, then start elimination on that basis. Okay, common confusable questions. Okay. Invincible, there is no rule as such regarding it. Okay. It depends on how the people choose to address themselves. Okay. So the English people, they never said that we are the Englishes. That's why we don't say it. Right. The French people, they don't say we are the Frenches. That's why we don't say the Frenches. Right. But Greeks, they choose to refer to themselves as that, the Greeks. Okay. That's why we do it. So there is no rule as such here that I can give you. It's about how people choose to address themselves. A, D, E. All right. What else? What else? Tell me. A, D, E. What else? C. Okay. Okay. So I've just got 4 responses. I hope others are still attempting. I think for me, the second sentence was pretty easy. For the crowds, it was more of a dash event. For the leader, it was just another day. For the crowds, it was a very important moment. But for the leader, it was just another day. Right? So important, I am looking for a synonym of important. The synonym of important will be historic. Historic means something very significant, something that has the potential to create history, something that creates history. That's why it's called historic. Historical data, historical event, that simply means an event of the past, right? Historical means past. So historical has nothing significant attached to it. It simply means past. So B should fit here in the second one. So I eliminate options that have A. So A and C go out of the window right away. Right. Okay, then I think another one that was easy for me was this one. That's because I had heard backhanded compliment. I had heard this term on a news channel once, right? So a backhanded compliment, and then I was curious enough to look up its meaning. A backhanded compliment is a sarcastic compliment. It's a sarcastic compliment wherein you are being sarcastic in complimenting someone. You don't actually mean to compliment them, right? So one suspects that the compliment, the praise showered on her, okay, the words of praise given to her, they were backhanded. This compliment means something else. Remember complementary angles from geometry? They complete each other. This complement means something that enhances or completes the other thing. Enhances or completes the other thing. That is EMENT wala complement. So I know that the last one should have A. So that helps me further and I eliminate option D. Right? Okay, now I'm left with B and E. So the difference is in the third one. So I have to focus on the third sentence. I can't avoid the third sentence. The old man has a healthy distrust or mistrust for all new technology. Even if you do not know the exact meanings, but you just know this, that which of them is a more negative word, then also you can actually attempt this. It says healthy, so that means I don't need the more negative word. The more negative word is mistrust. Okay, miss means hate. Okay, so misogynist, someone who hates women. So this comes from hatred. Distrust means lack of, right? So the old man has a healthy distrust for all new technology. A should come here, and that's why option E is the answer. Okay, so Disha, Nihar, Videep, you guys were correct. Okay, now Snap exam accepts only Symbiosis or other colleges. Snap, there is a list of Symbiosis colleges that it accepts. Other colleges, you'll have to just search, just go to their website, Snap exams website, and you'll see if other colleges are also there. Okay. Improve in Parajumbles, we'll have a whole session on Parajumbles, Azra, don't worry. Right? Parajumbles, one session, Para Summary, one session, RCs, one session. So separate sessions will happen for that. Right? Okay, so E is our answer here. Historic event, historical simply means past. Distrust means simply a lack of trust, but mistrust means when you believe that the opposite party has bad intentions towards you. So it's a more negative word, right? Then real versus true. See, real story. See, real, the opposite is imaginary. The opposite of real is imaginary, right? Now, if you say the film is based on a real story and not an imaginary story, that does not make as much sense as saying that it is based on a true story. That means events that actually happened. That actually happened. Okay. We use real to mean that something exists. So even a fiction, even an imaginary story exists in this world, right? It exists on paper, it exists in someone's mind. So even that story is real. You get it? So when even for fiction, you can use this term, but whether it actually happened or not is decided by true, untrue. Okay. However, we use this term real in another sense. Get to know the real story as to why the recession happened. So when we stress on this real, I mean to say that a lot of stories that are circulating in the market are fake. In that sense, you can say real story. But when you are saying that it is based on events that actually happened, you have to use true. Right? So it was not a real versus fake distinction. It was a true versus fiction distinction. Right? Hence B. Further versus farther. Yes. Who will tell me further versus farther? The dash he pushed himself, the more disillusioned he grew. The dash he pushed himself, the more disillusioned he grew. So, far, farther, farthest. Far is an adjective and these are the degrees of the adjective: positive, comparative and superlative. Far is used when we are measuring physical distance, right? 2 kilometers, 5 kilometers. So used for measuring physical distance. Was he pushing himself in that sense? Was he going from point A to point B? Literally. No, probably he was mentally pushing himself. Okay. So, for that, the better word to use is further. When all is further used? Further is a broader term. It can be used for physical distance also. However, it can be used for going ahead, simply going ahead. It could be progress in time. For instance, if I say the further we proceed, the clearer things will become to you. We are not literally going somewhere. So we are simply going ahead in our syllabus, so to say. So progress, it could be a progress in time, progress in career, right? Anywhere. So further is better here. Right, right, right. Absolutely, absolutely. Further is ahead, farther is used for physical distance. Okay. So good. So our answer is option E. I hope this is clear to everybody now. So these were, to attempt such questions in the exam takes time, right? It's actually 5 questions clubbed into one, right? So this could be a time consuming question for you in the exam. Right? And common confusables do come in IIFT also. So in case you're planning to take IIFT, they can come, such questions can come there. Last year itself they came. Okay. Let's have a look at question 5. The Cricket Council, now see grammar comes into the picture, that was or were elected last March is or are at 6s and 7s over new rules. Okay. What do you say? No, in CAT, they'll not be asked such questions because CAT now asks RC passages and parasummary and parajumbles. Let's see what you say. Some of these are easy. Sankirtana, no. Direct grammar and direct vocabulary questions have not appeared in CAT for the last 6-7 years. They last appeared in 2014. So 7 years, yes. They are time consuming. I absolutely agree with you. Varun says D. Okay. One, two, three, four. That's because this has 2 parts, no? That's why. That is why options are given for 5. Welcome. Disha says B. Okay. So there is one sentence because of which students usually get this wrong. But let's see first what you say. D, B. That's what I've got so far. What else? B. All right. So B versus D it is. Let's have a look. First, we need to understand this one, I think. Okay. I think the easiest for me, if you ask me, the easiest was this one for me, the third sentence, because credulous versus credible. See, for explanations, if you give me some explanation, either I believe it, I find it believable, or I don't find it believable, right? If I find it believable, I will say, oh yes, what she's saying looks credible to me, right? So credible is the word that I need here, because credible means something that is trustworthy, something that I can believe, something that I can believe or trust. Okay, so once I realize this, that at the fourth position there should be B. At the fourth position there should be B. A and E go out of the window, right? But that does not help me a lot. I'm still left with three options. So let's focus on the differences. The differences are here. While B and D say double A, this is double B. Okay, and here in the third one. So let's have a look at this one. The critics dashed the new movie because of its social inaccessibility. Now, they are critiques. The censor board can censor a movie. Censor board can actually restrict parts of the movie from being shown to the public. But can the critiques censor a movie? They don't have that power. Critiques can only criticize. So the word for criticize is censured. This is what I needed here. So this goes out of the window. We are left with C and D. Okay. Now between C and D, it comes down to what should come here. The Cricket Council that was or were elected last March is or are at 6s and 7s over new rules. Now, council is a collective noun. Council is a collective noun. Right. Being at 6s and 7s means in a state of confusion. In a state of confusion or disarray, or they are disorganized. Right. In a state of disarray or in a state of confusion. So, the Cricket Council is a collective noun, right? And when the council was elected, it was elected as a group only, right? There, I do not see any disagreement here or any focus on the individual members here, such that I should use the plural verb. So I'll use the singular verb here, isn't it? So in a collective noun, you use the plural verb only when there is some disagreement or there is some focus on the individual members. So during disagreement also the focus is on the individual members, right? Focus on the individual members. So I do not see that here, and therefore I'll choose was. The Cricket Council that was elected last March, and once I have chosen was here, I will stick to the singular. Our sentences should be consistent. The rule of consistency says that I have to now stick to my choice. So elected last March is in a state of confusion over new rules. Is in a state of confusion over new rules. So our answer here is going to be A, option D. Option D. D, Delhi. Okay. Is this clear to everyone? Why the singular? I have chosen the singular here. I stick to it here. Moreover, this means in a state of confusion. That does not mean that they disagree over new rules. They are just confused about it. Right? They are just confused about it. There's no disagreement as such. So that's why we'll use the singular only, and D, Delhi is the answer. Okay, you have to remember all these things. The meaning of censure, how it is different from censor. Credulous is a person who is very gullible, who easily believes people. So if I say she's very credulous, that means she believes people easily. Okay. She coughed cautiously or in a way so that it's not very noticeable. So she coughed discreetly. C-R-E-E-T. Cautiously or in a way that you're not noticed. Unnoticeably. That's what it means. This means separately. Discrete series from statistics, if you remember. Separately. So separately does not make sense at all. A is the answer. D, Delhi is our answer here. And I hope you'll remember the rule regarding collective nouns now. Right? Usually singular, plural only when there's a focus on individual members or a disagreement. Okay then, last question for the day. Let's have a look at this. Vocabulary, common confusables. Let me know what you say. Yes. And if you found value in the session, then yes, please do press the like button. Let's see. Priya says C. Okay. So there are two. There is a grammar concept here. See, grammar is involved. This is an idiomatic phrase. I think the easiest was this one. Okay, so when we were kids, we were told the stationery with an E associated with pen, pencil. Pen and pencil also have E, no? So when we talk about that stationery with an E, we are talking about pen, pencil, etc. Right? Whereas when we talk about this one with an A, so we were told this sentence, sun is stationary, right? So that means sun does not move. So after brushing against a stationary truck, of course it can't be a pen pencil truck, right? After brushing against a truck that was not moving, my car turned turtle. Turtle means upside down. Okay, upside down. So I understand that it should be A. So in the fourth place, I should write A, and that's why these could be my answers. A and C cannot be my answers, right? Okay, so I've got D, E also from your side. Let's see which out of D and E. Now this is interesting. See, I don't even need to check the first two sentences, right? I need to just decide what should come at the third place and the last one. He was dash himself with rage when I told him what I had done. So here you cannot use besides. The fixed idiomatic phrase is beside yourself. When you are beside yourself with some emotion, it could be joy, it could be rage, it could be sorrow. That means you are overwhelmed by that emotion, right? So beside yourself with rage here, besides cannot come. Phrase ye hai, idiom ye hai, right? So that's why this has to be B. I eliminate option D also. Now between B and E, it comes down to the last one. As the water began to rise, dash the danger mark. The signs of an imminent flood were clear. So the water level rises above a particular mark. The water level has risen above so and so mark. The temperature has risen above so and so mark. When we use this, when we talk about these physical measures again, above this mark, above this level, we use above, not over. Okay, so this has to be B, and that's why our answer is option E. Good, those who said E. All right, Varun, Saurav, Mohit, Vineet, Disha, absolutely correct. Let's understand the other ones also. For our knowledge, we need to know this. See, regrettable is something that is capable of being regretted. Just opening regrettable, right? Just breaking it down. Capable of being regretted. So if I say the action by our students is regrettable, that means it is worthy of being regretted. They shouldn't have done this. Regretful, that means full of regret. Full of regret. So of course, after this, I have I. I am not capable of being regretted. I am not worthy of regret. I am full of regret. I am full of regret when I decline the invitation. So it has to be B. Okay. Then I am drawn to the poetic, sensuous quality of her paintings. Sensual means carnal, bodily. Okay. Whereas sensuous is used in the sense of beauty, aesthetic beauty. Okay, aesthetic, something that's aesthetic or induces pleasure. So sensuous is the correct word here and not sensual. Okay. And yes, others we have discussed. So both of these have to be B, right? All right. Hope this is clear to everybody. Any query in any of the questions that we've done, please ask. I also hope that you've gauged the difficulty level of these questions. And common confusables can be asked in IIFT and other exams. Similarly, sentence correction, finding out the errors, they are asked in almost all the non-CAT exams. So I've acquainted you with some really difficult questions. So I hope you find the others easy, and I hope you practice these questions from various non-CAT papers, right? So this is our CAT 2023 patch, right? And program, basically, it has all the details here, and you can see a lot of features being covered, be it mock tests, right? Recorded lectures in addition to live lectures. So a lot of uh, material available, a lot of guidance available on your platter, right? So you can enroll now. And this is our mock test series, right? 70 plus mocks available, 20 CAT, 50 non-CAT, and so many practice questions, etc. available to you. You can buy this. This is the series that is actually going on. We've just started it, right? I've just kick-started it and it will go on. We'll discuss RCs also. We'll discuss para summary, para jumbles, everything. Okay, so stay tuned and do take the mock, and you can join us on Facebook, on Instagram. You can join us here as well via Telegram. Okay. Welcome all of you. Thank you for attending. Bye. See you on Tuesday now. Okay. Bye bye.